Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's GT time this Sunday night, the 10th of April 2025, the Premier Endurance League's Gamer Gear Direct Australian GT3 Open Endurance Series. We had the third round at Monza last month, and it was certainly a cracker. Now we go to virtual Germany, to the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, the Bez and Weck layout with the faster chicane at the end of the lap. A challenging circuit to be sure. And if the limited series race at this track a couple of weeks ago was anything to go by, we're in for a real treat. These drivers have put a lot of preparation in for what's sure to be a great night of entertainment. And bringing it to you live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick is myself, Reese Gardner, David Haynes alongside me in the commentary box, and Peter Baxter with us as well, performing the Larco whiteboard role, as it were. Starting with you, David. Looking forward to Nurburgring once again. This is one of my favorite quote-unquote modern racing venues. Provides a really good layout for some GT3 racing.
Yeah, so it's the sports car layout for some sports car racing. It's sort of central west there of Germany, just south of Düsseldorf, northwest of Frankfurt. Nestled amongst some mountains, of course. The GP track's pretty flat, but of course the Nordschleife attached rolls up and around and into the mountains, and key overtaking opportunities are the big stop at turn 1. Then anywhere else that you can get a little bit of overlap, I reckon you can make some passing into turn 7. 10 and 11 there often have a little bit of crossover, some good action through there, and it's a long final corner that takes you around the outside of the pit entry, just over 5 kilometers. And the pit lane speed limit 60 k's an hour here. Uncommon. I don't know what word I was reaching for there. We'll figure it out later. Uncommon for F1 style layouts, where most of the time the pit lane speed limit's 80 k's. It's just 60 here.
Yeah, that could be an opportunity for some gains and losses today, Peter. It's going to be just as important as always that pit entry is practiced, because I can tell you, I've seen a lot of speeding in pits black flags at this circuit.
Oh, there's a couple of things with pit entry here. It's an easy one to go across the line and cop yourself a penalty on the way in, but it's also got a little bit of opportunity to accelerate towards the line and brake, and again you can cop yourself a penalty if you don't get to the right speed. The thing that's really intriguing me tonight is we have a 55% fuel limit in the cars, so that to me is 35 to 38 minutes of driving, so that is a 2+ a splash and dash. And the real question that I'm going to be asking through the race is, are we taking tyres at any one stage? So I would expect that on the 2 big pit stops, everyone might take tyres and then splash and dash. But if we get safety cars, then we potentially have an opportunity where somebody who's probably not as fast in lap speed but uses a little bit less fuel might be able to make it to the end without going through pit lane, and that in itself is worth about 35 seconds. So some really good things that might be able to come out of it. It looks all nice and dry for the event, but yeah, there's some good things there strategy wise, guys.
Yeah, indeed. Notably, the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, one of the slipperier tracks on iRacing, especially compared to the Nordschleife. You drive the combined circuit and you're slipping and sliding around on this layout compared to its big brother up north. It is a 32-degree track temperature day, so the tyres should be able to get up to temperature in no time, but the drivers are going to have to be careful of the sliding, maybe preserve their tyres for an attack later on. Pretty gusty winds out there as well, 14 k's an hour from the west and northwest. Not a very humid day either. It is perfect conditions for racing. Qualifying is about to end. And, well, while qualifying gets its checkered flag run and done, let's check out the championship standings coming out of Monza. Dylan Shepherd still in the championship lead, with Dean Mackay in second place, Connor Nixon in third. Adam Wright won the last round of the Open Series at Monza, and he's rocketed himself up to ninth in the standings. The Hyperion Racing Ferrari there starting to get amongst it, with close points between Benefield, Wallace and Wright there as well. Pepperell drifting off the back a little at the back end of the top 10. That's checkered flag in qualifying, and it is time to move on through to the warm-up. I'll tell you what, David, Wright is already looking really good to be a challenger at this next round as well. He's managed to put himself on the front row.
Yes, indeed. So we're just seeing towards the end of the qualifying session. Once again, it's a pretty big grid of 29 GT3 cars at the moment. So you wouldn't want to be right to the tail end of that in qualifying. I think we've seen drivers make stuff happen from outside of the top 10 though. But it just shows that if you get a good qualifying time, hopefully it means you've done all your preparation, and that hopefully means that you carry over some of that preparation into the race upcoming.
Yeah, just looking over the sweeping Rhine Valley hills here. This is a beautiful setting for a racetrack, and right now we're looking at that lowest point of the racetrack there at the hairpin. This track follows the terrain beautifully, and it's, I think, Peter, a bit of a compromise between a driver's circuit and a technical track. You know, that opening section of the circuit, the Mercedes Arena, a bit more of a modern addition to the track. It really tests your patience, but going down through these sweeping bends here, it's got just enough of the banking, of the following of the terrain, that you can really attack this place.
Yeah, now look, I mean, I will admit, you're talking to somebody who has a lot of bias towards this track, right? I love driving here. I enjoy the GP circuit for a race on its own for what it is, because it is GP style, probably not, you know, it's not to the specs that we now see in the 2020s with some of the new stuff like China, Bahrain, those sorts of spec tracks. This is old school GP circuit. Really, really good track. It's got great fast banking bends. It's got overtaking opportunities. It's got everything you want as a driver. But also, I am an absolute sucker for any race at the Nordschleife. So, you know, when you combine the Nordschleife on iRacing with the Nurburgring Endurance Series or the 24-hour, and they all have different combinations of uses of this track plays a big part in my life on iRacing, and I enjoy every moment of it. So I think, you know, just using the GP circuit alone, it's a good fun track. You're right about this being a little bit slipperier, but the other thing is it's a little bit more open. It's got opportunities for people to break into corners. It's got opportunities for different lines through corners, and therefore for cars to get overlap and overtake each other fairly and squarely. And that's what I like about a good racetrack, is somewhere where, you know, if you do the right things, if you put the right pressure, if you find the right lines, you can make advantage of it. So, yeah, again, you're talking to somebody who's biased. I love being here. I love commentating here. It's just a great track to be at.
Yeah, for sure. Qualifying is over. Warm-up is now upon us. And I think that's going to give us an opportunity to go through the grid for this race upcoming. We have 2 hours on the clock getting ready to start things off. Peter's gone off to have a chat to a couple of drivers about what their plans are for the race, but We will check out our front row here of Dylan Shepherd and Adam Wright. 2 incredibly fast laps there, and Wright getting within 0.03 of a second of Shepherd's fastest time in the Audi there. Adam Hughes, teammate to Dylan Shepherd at One Performance Racing, going to start alongside Dean Mackay in the top 3 in the championship there, starting out of 4th, the 3rd row of the grid. Andrew Scordalis, the top of our Frog Leap Juice Racing cars. Lachlan Capel, the first of the Evolution Racing Team cars, 6th in the McLaren. Ben Woods and Ethan Bass for Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport will round out our 4th row of the grid. And David, our top 10 will be rounded out by Rick Provenzale and Nick Wood. Certainly quite a stacked top 10 there.
Indeed. So it's Adam Jepson and Trent Allen 11th and 12th on the grid after qualifying. Then Jamie Saxon and Samuel Sproul. And Darcy Inwood and Russell Pepperell here 15th and 16th. And 17th there's Leith McClymont and Connor Nixon there in 18th. I've seen the Orbit Drop Bear guys across a whole variety of different cars, each driver taking what takes their preference. Stuart Shaw in 19th and Angus Lawford in 20th.
Interesting once again to see Nixon so far down the order in qualifying. He's a championship contender. Patrick Reardon and Brad Coates will be 21st and 22nd, the 12th row of the grid. Kurt Nommensen in the Revolution E-Racing Audi alongside Trent Stapleton in the number 94 Mustang. Mark Foster going to start his Digital Motorsport Team Corvette alongside Ashley Cutchy on row 13. Then we have Daniel Coleman and Martin Lipsky rounding out our top 28 cars here, the Tulip Racing duo, the last 2 drivers to set times in qualifying. Matthew Dench for Orbit Drop Bear did not set a time in qualifying, though he set a 154.6 in practice, which would have put him in the top 10 if he'd managed to set that time in qualifying. So keep an eye out for Dench potentially making his way forward. We're definitely looking to see Connor Nixon move up from 18th on the grid. And I'm certainly hoping that the likes of Ethan Bass and Adam Hughes, Dean Mackay will be able to have a clean race, because Monza certainly turned up the chaos a few weeks ago.
Sure did, but that's Monza in anything. Like sports cars, like junior single-seaters, it's always just a bit crazy. The weather looks good for this here. I think the only place you'll see a bit of crazy could be Turn 1, and if anyone tries to go side by side through that final sports car chicane. Those are some of the spots to watch. Always a chance of a safety car here. This doesn't strike me immediately as a circuit that's going to guarantee one, but always possible.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those tracks that, you know, yeah, like Peter said, it is quite an open circuit, but it still has walls a bit closer than you'd see at other Grand Prix circuits of its caliber. It looks like a bit of a weather change here in warm-up as well. It's cooled off and there's more clouds over the circuit. Wind's gone down just a little bit. Humidity has gone up. But most important number is that 26 degrees Celsius track temperature. That will mean that there's going to be more grip available to the drivers when they get the tyres up to temperature, and they're probably going to have a more responsive front end as a result as well. So the drivers who are banking on that will hope that that carries through into the race here. Last few times being set in warm-up. Lachlan Capel, fastest of the 6 drivers that have set times there. Leith McClymont we saw circulating at the end of qualifying and wasn't able to get to the line in time to get a final lap time down. So maybe there's a potential question mark over McClymont's pace there. Well, checkered flag flies in warm-up, and now begins the gridding for the race session. Now, Dylan Shepherd, of course, up at the front of the field, and I mean, prime position to be in as the championship leader. He'll have the luxury of determining how quick of a start he'd like when they come around off the formation lap. But I'm sure that Adam Wright is going to be attacking him very early on. I think Shepherd's going to have to rely on Hughes to play a bit of a support role.
Yep, gridding up now. with that 50 to 55% fuel cap. The moment you place down on the grid, your idling car begins to consume through it. So you haven't seen Adam Wright or Adam Hughes hurry onto the grid there. The two missing spots in the first two rows there as Hughes pops in, and we're just got 10 seconds waiting for Wright. There goes the Ferrari.
And that looks like basically everybody on the grid for the moment. And can tell you Matthew Dench has taken to the grid. In fact, if I remember correctly, wasn't there a rear of grid penalty for a car coming out of last round? Might be Dench. I am not going to say anything concrete. My memory not serving me particularly well on that front, but well, what I do remember from Monza is it was a very exciting race indeed. And we are about to jump on to the start here as they pull away. Peter, have you got anything for us?
Just had a quick chat with Dean Mackay. He was the top qualifier of those that I could have a chat to. Dean's looking forward to a good race, and look, to be honest, 0.14 of a second off pole, and was disappointed with his lap time. So, the pace is there, but have a look how close it is between the top five guys. It's like 0.2 seconds. So, the aim of surviving the first lap, getting through there, is looking good. Shout out to Ben Woods, new driver to OPR Dropbear, guys, has changed teams, and is away you go. But here we go for the start. I'll leave it to you guys.
All right, Dylan Shepherd getting off to a good start, but there's already chaos. It looks like Andrew Scordalis getting turned around by, it looks like Lachlan Capel in the McLaren. Big drama off the race start here for Premier Endurance League's Game of Gear Direct GT3 Open Series. Clean start up the front, but tell you what, Scordalis will be none too happy with what eventuated there. Our leaders will make their way through the end of the arena section. OPR running 1 and 2, as it looks like Adam Wright's going to have to try and play sort of rear attack role in that Ferrari. Dean Mackay remaining in 4th. Ben Woods has managed to gain 2 positions out of the clash between Scordalis and Capel, and his teammate Ethan Bass has followed him through there. Keep our eyes on the back of the field here, or more the lower midfield, as the 22 of Connor Nixon in the Mercedes is looking to try and gain some spots here on lap 1.
So it's a super long, very likely Nixon, they go around.
That's the second incident that Capel has been involved in here on lap 1. It's not looking very clean out there for the Evolution Racing Team driver. And that's going to result in, yet more for race control to try and work their way through here on the first lap. Some recoveries being made, but for now, we're going to get another look at that start here and watch behind. See the turn there as Shepherd got on the power early. Everyone was trying to sort themselves out, and it looks like Capel just, I couldn't see from that angle whether or not Capel got into Scordalis or the other way around. But regardless, not what you want to see coming off the start.
Guys, it looks like Capel has drifted a little bit to the right on what is essentially a straight piece of track. I think he's going to have to answer for 2 things here. I think he's going to have to answer for both the pre-start line incident and for that incident at the hairpin. I think Capel's in for a long, long night if race control go the way that I've looked at those 2 incidents.
The second one, he was absolutely the third car in, dived down the inside and spun 2 off. So I don't know, the start's always messy, but the second one really looked not great. It's got a little spicy up front there for Mackay and Wright. So Adam Wright, that Ferrari back to 4th, as still teammates of Shepherd and Hughes leading up front.
Yes, and we look a bit further back as well to the 418 machine. This is the view of the start. So Capel and the McLaren there. Scordalis did move to the left just a little bit, but I think Capel moved to the right more. So, I think you can draw your own conclusions from that footage there. For now,
I can draw my own conclusions from race control's message, which is a 10-second penalty for Lachlan Capel, causing an incident on lap 1. I might see that same message copy and pasted.
I'm going to go and find out and see which incident that's for. I'll come back in a sec.
Thanks, Peter. Well, it looks like Brad Coates has dropped a little bit as well, unfortunately, and I think the same may be true briefly for Normanson. Oh, I see what happened there. That's Normanson spinning around, and unfortunately, a bit of a coming together in the midst of the fast corners up the back of the circuit. Does get back going. That's the crucial thing. Survival is key in a series like this, but I think there's a lot of drivers who are going to be feeling battered, bruised, and a little unhappy with how this race has gone so far.
Always a little chaotic around the start. So this is Normanson with the Audi. He gets in hot, right in behind another car. Just does not have the rear grip as it loops around. 24 degrees Celsius track tire temperature, maybe not all there. Audi looking a little twitchy and tail happy. Something that I've seen from Acuras lately as well is that they can just have that sort of lazy, loopy spin if you don't get a lot of feedback from the rear of the car until you've already pushed past the limit.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. You know, every GT3 car has its advantages and disadvantages. The handling of the Audi and the Acura certainly good with their mid-engine layout. The Porsche probably a bit of an easier car to drive than them in the hands of Adam Hughes and company, but that car is lacking a bit in straight line speed. We look a bit further back here to this battle here, the 606 of Samuel Sproul leading this battle with his teammate Darcy Inwood up ahead, and Trent Allen in the Mustang just behind them. Saxon and Pepperell chasing them down. For the moment, looks like Sproul and Inwood on the charge here, up 3 positions. They are not the cars with the most positions gained in the field, though. That honour belongs to Matthew Dench for the time being, starting from the back up to 20th, 9 positions gained, Peter.
Say, listen, I can confirm that penalty for car 10 locking cable, that was for the pre-start line contact with Andrew Scodilis. The incident, the hairpin, is being looked at now by race control, and I also
This is that hairpin right here.
Yep. So that one's now being looked at. I expect that maybe there's no penalty coming there, but I didn't stay for the review. I just wanted to know whether that first penalty was for the start line or for the hairpin. So we know the start line penalty's been looked at, and he's copped it there. I think Lockie might cop a second penalty, but that's my gut feel. We'll see what happens. There will be another penalty coming out, I think, for 5, 6, 7 shortly for an incident on the first lap that sort of didn't catch our eye. It was just a bit of a minor one, but it cost another car some time and places.
And the 5, 6, 7 is in fact Matthew Dench, who I was singing the praises of just a few moments ago. So maybe a couple of those positions were gotten via ill means. As keep ourselves going up at the front here. Dylan Shepherd and Adam Hughes continuing to lead the way for OPR. And here we've got a replay of the incident for Matthew Dench. I think I heard turn 4 or turn 6. Race control called it T6, according to Peter Baxter. Dench up the inside there on the exit of the arena. And yeah, a little bit of a wiggle on the way through as he tried to make up positions on the opening lap, had to back off, and looks like the car in front of him having some technical issues there, which may have turned it into the incident that race control called at turn 6. Regardless,
the key to that was that the impacted car, whilst he didn't lose a position to the car that made the incident, actually lost positions overall, so that's where the 5 seconds comes into that one.
Yeah, race control certainly looking intently at the bigger picture of how incidents affect drivers. So we have we've already had the 10-second penalty for the start line incident. It looks like race control for the incident at the Southern Hairpin have assigned Lachlan Cable another 15 seconds worth of time penalty. 25 seconds all up that Lachlan Cable is going to be losing from his race time as a result of those shenanigans on the first lap, David.
Yes, they found Lachlan culpable.
Here we go. We've got our Haynes pun in. Car stopped. It's Mark Foster, number 50. Looks like he's towed back to pit lane. Something going very wrong for that Corvette there, who is looking pretty embattled this race. And it looks like he just pulled over on the front straight. Apparently maybe a technical issue for Mark Foster. You see him come out of the final corner here, but as soon as he starts coming past the line, he pulls over to the side of the circuit. Are his brakes stuck on?
Got something. It's weird. It's like it's like it's stuck at 15% brake pressure or something there. And then he pulled over and it acted weirdly as he did. Could be anything, actually, really.
Yeah, I took another look and no, his brakes weren't stuck on, so potentially an issue with hardware, a monitor, a VR headset failing, something like that.
Cat started puking. Who knows? You never know.
I've certainly faced that issue in the past. Peter, you've jumped back there to get some more context on the goings-on here.
I just find out what's happened with Fozzie, but I've gone and had a look at his replay. I think he has just had the pull-out. So now, I don't know the reason. I don't think it's equipment failure. I think it's a genuine early retirement from the race. Basically he was coming over a lap and he's just pulled into basically the pit line and towed back in. So I haven't been able to talk to him. I don't know whether it's technical gremlins or something going on, or something's going on in the background with Fozzie. So unfortunately out for the night, and we won't know sort of the detail until we get to it.
We'll turn our attention back to Matthew Dench for now as he makes up another position. Up 11 as Patrick Reardon makes way for him there in the first turn. The orbit drop there, Porsche certainly looking pacey in these early stages. We do have to remember that Dench did not set a time in qualifying. He started all the way at the back of the grid. So yet to get a true read on Dench's pace. The read up the front is quite clear though. Dylan Shepherd continuing to hold on to the lead here with Adam Hughes and Dean Mackay in very hot pursuit. Looks like Mackay dropped back a little bit over the course of the first couple of laps, David, but he's gained some pace back and he's catching a whisper of slipstream off the Acura in front.
Yeah, last lap for the leader, 54.8, his teammate Adam Hughes, 54.8, Dean Mackay, 54.7, and at this distance, you make 1/10, make another 10th, suddenly you're in the slipstream, you're in range to save a bit of fuel, you're in range to put some pressure on the leaders. So where he is sitting just a couple of car lengths back, super profitable at this point of a long race to keep the leaders close and keep just not overstressing your tyres, not burning too much fuel and not letting them have any comfortable margin of lead.
Aboard with the Mustang of Nick Wood, he's looking at the back of Ethan Bass here. Battle of the Mustangs, and Ethan of course racing from Scotland, and so he has a little disadvantage when it comes to latency, netcode, things like that. Certainly didn't work out for him too well on a couple of occasions at Monza, but
he's also with a disadvantage of weather as well. True.
Not quite as sunny up there in the rugged lands of the northern United Kingdom. But Nick Wood continuing to pile that pressure on here. Both he and Adam Jepson behind in the 525 Acura, up 2 spots each, looking to maintain that momentum from the early stages of the race. Not quite maximising the exit of the right-hander though, so I think Bass is going to be given some breathing room from here on out. He is starting to lose touch with his teammate Ben Woods though, and Woods himself is starting to make up some time on Adam Wright as well. Wright was the fastest car on track last time around, but see how long he can hold on to that.
Yeah, I don't recall too many points of time at Monza where Adam Wright's 1 lap pace blew us away, but right at the end, he was really strong. So I think this is sort of a slow burn for the Ferraris is the way it goes. Then he had the advantage of, remember, he sort of sat 4th or 5th in the slipstream train for the first half of the race there. He's not in the tow of Shepherd, Hughes and Mackay, the top 3. So maybe right now is the time you push to try to just close that gap down a little bit if you can. Mackay is still closing the gap on Shepherd, the leader.
Yeah, for sure. Mackay running, I think, a mere 0.5 of a second faster than Adam Hughes on the previous lap. We'll keep our eyes peeled on our top three, see if they can hold on to this as we turn our attention back to Jamie Saxon. The Odyssey Racing car now under attack from Russell Pepperell, who hasn't moved forward all that far from his starting position. But we do have a lot of potential here in the KSR Speed Nation 750.
Couple of different lines you take through that sequence there. Sometimes you're really trying to maximise the right-hander on the way out. And I think that's what Pepperell's done. The Acura just didn't get the curb particularly nicely in front of us for Jamie Saxon there in 13th. So the big Mustang's planted. That looks a little wide there. Looking good for Pepperell.
Is there going to be a move down here at the southern hairpin? It's a bit far back to really make the move, but Pepperell's going to have a look regardless. Maybe focus on the exit up through the Schumacher S. There's another position up for Matthew Dench, putting Stuart Shaw behind him there in the number 93. Pretty soon he'll be in contact with these guys, and Pepperell wants to hold on to his position for just a few moments longer, and he'll have to start upping the pace and find a way past the Acura ahead of him here.
Heading towards the sports car version of the chicane, you carry heaps more speed through it, you climb more over the curb, but there is still limits, there's slowdowns, there's off tracks, particularly at that second part, the right-hander there, you can start to pick up.
Oh, there we go. Dive up the inside from Pepperell, and it doesn't work out well. Jamie Saxon turned around and losing a spot there. Pepperell's going to continue on for now. Jamie Saxon definitely looking worse for wear there. The front end of the Acura not good, and yeah, there's definitely something wrong with that car right now. Looks like Saxon got some secondary contact potentially. Yeah, he certainly did. So looks like that might have been Scorderless that made contact with him through there, but he's pulled over at the side of the circuit, Peter, and looks like he's requesting a tow from race control as a result. That's a disaster for Saxon.
Could bring a safety car.
That second order of contact is the very thing that will damage the car and could bring a safety car. We'll sort of wait out and see what happens. I just went and had a chat with Nick Wood. Yeah, Nick, in one of the early, so 418's just been given permission to tow without a safety car, so race continues, guys. But I was just going to have a chat. I just went and had a chat with Nick. Now, so Nick Wood was one of the sort of top tier drivers when Premier Endurance League first started with the cap of 2,500 iRating. And you know, I remember rightly, you know, through a move and some work, he had to sort of pull out of the league for a while. But really pleased to see him back and running in the top 10. And when I had a chat to him, like, he qualified 10th, he's up 3 positions now. Really, he's quite happy that, yeah, he's made some advantage out of the couple of crashes that we've seen. Struggling to keep up. He reckons the guys in front have got some pace, but you know, he's on the ball pretty much. You know, the real question was, you know, you're in about 7th. What are you going to do? And it's like, drive the tank out, Pete, and see where we are, because yeah, essentially nothing's really holding him up. And once I think about that sort of comment, I think 2 guys that are in the box seat right now for the race are Adam Hughes and Dean Mackay. They are right up the back of Dylan Shepherd up the front, so they have an opportunity to drive fast and maybe save a little bit of fuel, which is either going to give them an extra lap or it's going to give them less time in the pit stop. So, so they're the sort of strategy calls I'm going to call out right now, early in this race, and we'll see how they pan out over time.
Yeah, I wonder what the fuel situation is going to be like for the OBR cars up at the front here, because Shepherd has been holding on to some pretty incredible pace. He hasn't been the outright fastest car in the field. That honour belongs to Dench, who currently has the fastest lap of the race. But Shepherd's going to be the one punching the hole in the air for everyone else behind him. And So I reckon Adam Hughes and maybe even Mackay, further back though he is, might be able to save a bit of fuel here in the early stages of the race and potentially set themselves up on a winning strategy. But Shepherd certainly has the pace to hold them off here, David.
Yeah, and I'm just keeping an eye on sort of Adam Wright's pace in this top four because he's that fringe of being 1 second behind Dean Mackay, and I think he's having to push pretty hard to try to catch that. If he can, Ferrari seems to be a good car towards the end of these longer runs, and Dylan Shepherd might be just pacing himself a tiny bit in this race lead here, knowing he's got Adam Hughes sitting behind him. So he doesn't need to push 110%. It can be, you know, smooth and consistent, which will pay dividends in a long race like this.
There's another position up for Connor Nixon.
I just got some feed from Mark Foster, and he did have to pull out of the race. Car alarm at home started going crazy, and he was worried that someone's going to steal his car. So jumping off the sim to look after real life. And yeah, to be honest, boys, I think all of us would do the same thing if that happened. So
I hope his cat feels better soon.
Yeah. Hope everything's all good for you, Fozzie. And shame you can't get through the rest of the race. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, fair enough
Any
indeed.
tips for getting that sort of stuff out of the carpet, Reese?
Prayer and yeah, basically. Scorderless bringing it into the pits there, and well, still carrying the damage from the incident between Pepperell and Saxon. Pepperell has been given a 10-second penalty from race control for that one, as it looks like Mackay has made a real charge here on the top two, who have swapped. Adam Hughes now in the lead of the race, Dylan Shepherd back to second. Some kind of exchange taking place there between the OBR teammates that has brought Mackay right back into the fight.
And based off the numbers that Pete was hypothesizing and what we've seen from previous rounds, we're probably about halfway through the first run on the fuel tank. So if this is sort of, okay, we're halfway to our first pit stop, swap them so both drivers lead about 20 minutes, both drivers lead about 10 laps. Could be an interesting way of trying to do it. Maybe it was an agreement before the race, maybe it's an agreement they've come to. This is where the swap happened. So Hughes pushes up super close behind Shepherd, he just stays left and yeah, walks in behind.
Seems like Hughes was making some gains on Shepherd there through the first sector, and Shepherd didn't have the best of exits from the arena either, so maybe just instead of holding up his teammate, decided to let him go, and that way they can consolidate that top two and keep the defense up against Mackay and the fast pursuing Adam Wright, who took time out of both Shepherd and Mackay on the last lap.
Do you know that Mercedes have sold more Mercedes GT3 race cars than Honda have sold road-going NSXs of this generation?
Really? Wow. That's never thought that stat would come up. I didn't even know if I. Wow. Yeah, that's. Don't know what to make of that, really.
Was the... No, I might be exaggerating a little bit. The total global production of that hybrid generation NSX is underneath 2,000 cars, I believe. Just no one bought them. They were expensive and they were hybrid and they weren't quite the true spirit of the original NSX. And while they were like, oh, a pretty high performance car, it had a Honda badge on it.
Well, there we go then. Mercedes certainly has seen quite a bit of success in the GT world, and there's more success for Connor Nixon as he just made up that other position on Patrick Reardon there. Lachlan Capel hot in pursuit. Now I think just swapping his strategy to trying to gain as much time as possible and negate the effect of the 25 total seconds of time added to his race that race control will have assigned.
So the leaders working their way out of that turn one hairpin, deceptive how much the track drops away right at the apex. If you take a super tight line, you very often get your inside front tyre in the air. Sometimes you see drivers say about half a car width wider, which just keeps the car more balanced. This is on board with the Ferrari 296 GT3, which feels like it was a brand new car, but they're already testing the Evo spec kit that's going to come out for this thing shortly. Time flies.
Certainly does. Still feels like a brand new car to me. I'm still used to the 488 being the GT3 car, but well, times change and they change very quickly. Wright still keeping up with our top three. The gap is ebbing and flowing somewhat, but every couple of laps you see Adam Wright making some gains. Ben Woods is starting to make some gains himself as well. Actually running faster than anyone ahead of him there in 5th place, only by a few thousandths of a second on Shepard's pace setting at the front, but yeah, it's looking pretty good for Ben Woods at the moment. The 99 could be in contention here when the pit cycle comes around.
And then we get some of
had a chat with Dean Mackay sitting there in 3rd. I tried to get his perspective of the car swap between Adam Hughes and Dylan Shepherd, and he was pretty adamant that it was a fuel-saving car swap. Dean said he is able to save fuel, even though he's like, just a tenth of 2 behind, further back from the 2 guys in front. But he's using the opportunity. But yeah, he's pretty adamant that they're not going their full speed and they're using their teamwork to both get each other some fuel savings. So that's the thinking of the guy in P3 about 2 dudes in 1 and 2. I'll try and sort of see if I can get some feel from the guys following up behind, and we'll see how we go, eh?
That's a bit wide there.
Yeah, just a bit. Sam Sproul trying to find his way past Rick Provenzal as the Porsche finds its way to the apex a bit faster than the Mustang does. Sproul still holding on to his position in the top 10, with Inwood and Allen chasing him down. We'll keep a bit of slipstream off Provenzali for the time being. Now we're just in that waiting phase, aren't we, David? Waiting to see how these strategy moves are going to work out. Lachlan Capel, we've got a replay of here on Connor Nixon. Big dive to the inside. Capel looks to certainly be a fan of those big dives here. Worked out from that time. Nixon, I think, just realizing, yeah, okay, it's probably best that I just let him go because he's looking rather aggressive at the moment.
Leaders. Wright's dropped a tiny bit further back. Ben Woods just managing to sustain the pace. Can't wipe off that camera. It's a bit dirty, I reckon. And so we get to this point, as you say, we will be learning how far is the fuel range around this track in these weather conditions for this size of fuel tank and for the different cars. Very short formation lap here, so it will be pretty representative, this first stint, as far as what's possible minutes-wise and laps-wise on the fuel tanks.
Yep, coming up on the first half hour of this race being completed. Provenzali leading the way into turn 1 there in the battle for 9th. What kind of exit can Sam Sproul get from this first turn here? Inwood and Allen still very much involved with each other just behind. But if anything, it looks like Inwood is starting to gain here on Sproul and Provenzali. There's going to be another OPR swap, but this time a bit further down in the field as their cars bookend the top 11 positions. First stop for Normanson there, and of course Kurt had some troubles with car handling in the early stages of the race. Looks like the Audi here, Peter, is the first one to jump in, and he's taking tyres.
I think everybody's going to take tyres for the first, probably the first 2 pit stops. The level of fuel that they need will certainly cover a tyre change. I've come out of a chat with Ben Woods from the OPR Drop Bear team. And the interesting thing for me was they're all fuel saving. Like this whole top 5, none of them are pushing hard. They're all sitting there together and fuel saving. And despite the little gaps that we can see there, thinking that they may not be able to keep up with each other, the strategy game is on, boys. So it's certainly a 2-stop plus a splash. And the way I'm reading the race now is the more you fuel save, the less you splash. And the less you splash is the opportunity to jump somebody that you might not otherwise get to jump on the track. We're not going to see that until the last 15 minutes of the race. But what we are going to be able to see is, now that we know that that's the way the race is shaping, we're going to be able to see who can manipulate the best by staying in the group they're staying. We'll see that that first 5 cars are staying quite together and doing that. And if you can stay in that lead group and then get the shortest splash, I think you're in for a ripper of a race result. So a lot of things to come, boys, and they're probably an hour or so away, but it's really exciting to see it coming up like this. It's shaping up really nicely.
Yeah, some very good battles forming in the top 12 positions. Big gaps further back in the field. Basically, everyone from 13th to 18th is separated by 2 seconds or more. So the closest battle outside the top 12 is the one between Lawford and Stapleton, and they've just traded places for 19th. So Lawford looks like trying to set up a bit of an over-under there on Stapleton. Didn't quite get the run out of the corner he wanted, and Stapleton is hard on the defence here as they come down the hill through 2 of my favourite corners on this racetrack. Let's see what the Project 36 Mercedes can do to respond to this one, David.
Yeah, solidly downhill here into a long right-hander where I don't know the significance of the different numbers and flags around the grandstands around out there, but around the big timing tower as well. Sort of a loop around the far side of the track. It's so close to almost flat out for a lot of cars up that hill there. And now you see who's confident climbing all over the curbs and who doesn't want to. These guys are staying off the curbs here when some cars will happily clamber all over.
You see them using quite a bit on exit on a lot of these corners, as the next driver to come into the lane is Adam Jepson in the 525. And I think this is going to give us a little bit more of a context as to how the race is going to go. Potentially, Jepson is going for his splash early, but question remains on my mind, is it too early to reverse engineer the strategy? We are almost half an hour, we are just over half an hour into the race. So I would imagine that Jepson might have a chance here. 21.7 seconds in the box there, and that is pretty much bang on with what we saw from Nommensen a couple of laps ago. So yeah, it looks like Jepson's going to be trying to play the reverse game here.
So
I think this is the first of the pit stoppers, and I think we're going to see everybody come in within the next 1 or 2 laps. So way too early. I think if you're going to reverse engineer this, you'd be doing it at about the 15 to 20 minute mark, going for a splash, keep your tyres on and go from there. But yeah, too much of a risk of a safety car coming in for that to happen right now. I think the best way to reverse it might be in the mid stint and then roll the dice with the safety car.
the numbers certainly aren't how many World Cups that country has won out in the grandstands there, and I was going to put to you that you had Jepson pitting after 32 minutes into this race, expecting sort of 38, 40 minutes, maybe a tiny bit more was possible. So it's not too far away from some stops. Like this.
Oh, yep, there we go. There's the response there from Sam Sproul and Darcy Inwood. Up behind Rick Provenzale, it looked like they had a clear pace advantage that they just weren't able to realise. So jump into the pits, potentially undercutting Rick Provenzale and Trent Allen, move themselves ahead of the Revolution iRacing, Porsche and Mustang, who will now fly in formation in 8th and 9th. Now, pit stop times for Sproul and Inwood will be coming up very shortly. still in the midst of taking their stop there, as our leaders here, the other two OPR cars in the field, will be watching very intently and seeing how they're going to respond to this. Potentially, this is a little tester for their cars further back in the top 10, just to see where they spit themselves out.
Last lap for Hughes was about half a second off. You see how close he is to Dylan Shepherd right now. Hughes lost a decent chunk of time to Shepherd, Mackay, and Wright even on the previous lap.
Indeed, this could be OPR at the front angling for a pit stop with Stapleton, Cutchy and Coleman the next drivers to jump into the lane. Jepson, having pitted a lap earlier than everyone else from 18th on down, apart from Normanson of course, has managed to get back past Sproul and Inwood, and so looks like Jepson might be angling for a top 7 here as Shepherd comes into the pit lane, but Adam Hughes stays out in the lead.
Definitely think Shepherd led a little bit more than Hughes did, and Adam Wright comes in, so you're going to see a few more of them make that pit entry. I can see a few other drivers angling for it, but they haven't tripped the beam yet, because only that yellow cone there, you race up to speed and then brake again in the pit entry after negotiating the inside of the hairpin. Breaking down to 60 k's an hour. Provenzale in, Nick Wood in, many more coming. I think it's about 3/4 of them are hitting pit entry rather than staying out on the pit straight now.
Yeah, 4 more cars have just entered pit lane there. Provenzale, Pepperell, Capel, Shaw, Nixon, Patrick Reardon coming in as well. Huge raft of pit stops here, Peter. It is crunch time to set up the first, or end the first phase and start the second phase of your race run.
Spot on that 35 minutes I talked about, and that's really interesting, right? Because that takes us to 70 minutes per pit stop 2, or maybe 72 given the actual pit stop time. And then, yeah, we're certainly going to have another pit stop, but whether that's a pit stop that covers tyres or not, that's the real question. Do you take an extra 5 or 10 seconds in the pit stop to get yourself greenies, or do you just take your fuel and keep running? And go from there and see if somebody else catches up to you. So yeah, the strategy is yet to play. I think we've already said that tonight. It's shaping well, but we're really going to see it play out in that last 30 minutes.
Adam Hughes remaining out in front. Shepherd has emerged in 7th. All cars in front of him have yet to come into the lane, but we'll find out if that run happens in just a second. Adam Hughes into the pit entry lane there, and Mackay is going to follow him in, so is Ben Woods. Will Ethan Bass follow them in as well? Looks like he will. There's a lap car there, I think one of the tulip cars just up ahead of him too. I'd be surprised if anyone decides to stay out any longer after this. Dinch finding his way in. It's been a great run up there, but he's unfortunately gone a bit deep into pit entry. And David, that is very typical of the Nurburgring. It's one of those corners where, yeah, you have to negotiate the inside of a corner to get into the lane, and got to be careful on your brakes.
Really Tony Hawked it, almost rode the guardrail the whole way around the rim of the pole there. So this is Shepherd. Is he going to get the race lead back? Where is he going to blend compared to his teammate Adam Hughes? Shepherd's stopped time stationary 23.8. Adam Hughes that 1 lap longer, runs the tank maybe fractionally emptier, has a slightly longer stop, still rejoining really good position. So this is great for Adam Hughes, running a lap longer, still blending out in the race lead after absolutely topping the tank and giving himself the best opportunity to maybe change tyres as well. This is really putting Adam Hughes in a strong spot.
Certainly is. A big battling on the exit here as Ethan Bass and Nick Wood emerge just ahead of Adam Jepson. And Jepson, the one with, I suppose, an undercut over many of the drivers running around the back of the top 10 or looking to break in. So now there's going to be that period where Bass and Mackay will be running themselves a little bit longer and or running themselves a little bit slower to get those tyres up to temperature. Curious to see that Dean Mackay has emerged in 5th. That's that's interesting from him, and I'm not seeing anything too untoward on Mackay's pit times here. We'll point out that he has one of the longer lane times, in fact the longest of anyone, 49.5 seconds, so I think something may have gone wrong there for Dean Mackay, Peter. Jay's just wondered whether or not he ran out of fuel on the way into the lane, but we're about to see here. So Dean Mackay running on the podium, but oh yeah, the car's sputtering on the way in, Peter. That's disastrous there for Mackay.
He's not the only one. I just come back with a chat with Trent Allen. He did the same thing. So these guys are genuinely pushing the fuel limits of these cars to try and get that extra lap and limit the splash and dash at the end. And what's that done? In Trent's case, it's cost him about 4 positions on track, so he's now behind 3 guys who he probably doesn't need to be, and for Dean Mackay it's cost him a couple of positions. So hey, look, testing the limits, finding limits, using limits. We all know that to win some of these races, you've got to get those 1%ers absolutely spot on, and you miss, and in this case you miss by probably 0.5%. Those splutters have cost them seconds they don't need.
Yeah, and a second is as good as a mile in auto racing. Well, we'll find our way through to the new running order of this race. Hughes and Shepherd still leading the way, and I want to point out as well, David, you talked about how Adam Hughes ran that extra lap and he ended up gaining some time. When Shepherd came into the lane, right after that, Hughes set the fastest lap of the race. It is no longer his, but a great turn of pace from Adam Hughes on the way into the pits there. It was all about the in-lap for him, I think.
Yeah, now he runs ahead of Shepherd, having had that one more lap of fuel. There's no more Dean Mackay in between the 2 teammates and Adam Wright, who's up into 3rd, so Mackay probably lost something in the realm of 8 seconds or so, because he ran out of fuel super early. Like you said, you go through the inside of the hairpin, then you've got to accelerate almost back up to like 150 k's an hour again before breaking down to 60. You just didn't have the fuel to do that. It's mostly downhill once you're in the lane. So once he got to where the 60 k's an hour starts, I think he was mostly okay, but it was the acceleration off the hairpin towards the attacking the pit entry line. Probably lost 5 or 6 seconds and may prove a little costly. Everyone's made one stop obviously now.
Seeing issues for Stuart Shaw and Kurt Nommensen further back in the field. It looks like Nommensen has had another drama, and I'm not sure what's happened to Shaw, but if I switch to him, it turns out he's dropped from the server. So that's a big shame for car number 93. This Trent Allen now has Matthew Dench behind him here, and well, Dench still having that 5 seconds hanging over his head for the incident on lap 1. He's got plenty of potential here to work his way up, but he's going to have to keep that in account for the rest of the hour and 18 minutes left to run here. There's going to be no chance of getting past the Mustang on the way into this fast left-hander, as that's what happened to Nommensen. Once again, the rear end of that Audi not cooperating.
No cooperation at all, so we go to the hairpin. Sometimes around the outside there's more grip than you think. It's lightly banked through the bowl here.
It's a good run through the inside for Matthew Dench, moving up to 12th place.
Not banked enough to stop Matthew Dench though.
Yeah, for sure. He's looking like one of the fastest drivers out there. Current fastest lap holder is Lachlan Capel, as Brad Coates completing service in the pits there. He was in there for some time, and unfortunately it looks like he just rejoined the server, as Adam Hughes now takes the fastest lap back. He and Shepherd are doing quite well at the front. not much more you can say for now. Whether or not we'll have to wait a few minutes to see if there's some kind of attack from Shepherd here. Got to remember, he's the one in the lead of the championship, so finishing P1 is obviously in his sights.
Capel and Pepperell swapping. 14th and 15th. Capel still has all of that penalty looming over his head as well, I believe, though. So he dropped to almost dead last and has some penalties to come further up. Gonzalez's been incredibly strong in his defence here because there are times thought he should be in trouble. He ran super deep in turn 1, laps back that he just caught, but still stayed ahead of Sproul, Inwood, and being closed in by Matthew Dench, though, who has had at times the fastest lap of the race. Adam Hughes went and pinched it away from him. Pardon me, Dench had it for a while.
Looks like some fairly stiff competition for fastest lap of the race here. See if Rick Provenzal can keep Sam Sproul behind him. Once again, Provenzal, one of the only drivers in the field, in fact I think the only driver in the field, still occupying the same position he started. There's been so much chopping and changing as this race has gone on. Plenty of drivers who had those dramas early on, or maybe didn't get the qualifying lap they wanted, and now just trying to work their way forward from issues that they faced. That's a good exit from Sproul out of the final corner. Will it be enough to overcome Rick Provenzale? The Porsche is not the strongest in a straight line in the GT3 class, and so the momentum is with the Mustang, but Provenzale so deep on the brakes, too deep on the brakes. He runs wide out of the first corner and re-enters right next to Darcy Inwood. Position taken for the 606 of Sam Sproul. Looks like he pressured Provenzale into that.
Inwood going for a swap back, and you almost get nose to tail through this sequence. Matthew Dench is all over them with the ride from his perspective. He's been watching this, and he's ready to pounce. Maybe he'll get to the inside of the Dunlop hairpin as he did a lap ago. Oh, there's no regrip for that Audi.
Oh, that was tough there. Matthew Dench finds a little bit of space on the outside to slot into. And yeah, that Audi is looking very difficult to drive for Darcy Inwood. And it's one of those corners of this racetrack where the load is so high, and you know, all it takes is just a little bit of a wiggle to really put you off your momentum. Well done to the both of them for avoiding turning that into a bigger incident. Now Dench is right on the back of this fight. At the back of the battle, Trent Allen now sees Darcy Inwood suffering those handling issues with his car and thinks now it's time for me to take advantage.
Yeah, Inwood suddenly almost hitting a bit of a cliff and finding a struggle for the grip here. And then I guess once you're on the back foot, you're on the back foot. In a group like this, it's very easy for everyone to kick you when you're down. When you get past, you lose some momentum. When you've lost your momentum, another driver looks to try to pass you, rinse and repeat, until you're at the back of the pack if you're not careful and if you can't stabilize it. On the front straight, Dench is absolutely the one to watch now. It's Porsche versus Porsche as he lines up Provenzale.
And who is going to emerge from behind the pit building first? It is still going to be Provenzale, but look at the both of them. They're a lot later and deeper on the brakes than everyone else by virtue of that Porsche not being the fastest down the straights here. It means, of course, that these Porsche drivers have to push a bit harder to get the pace that they need. And I think the real heartbreak for Mackay losing all that time he did in the pits is he was able to negate that disadvantage of his car by running in the slipstream of Hughes and Shepherd for a while. He doesn't have that luxury now. In any case, Peter, you've joined us once again. What do you have?
I just went to have a quick chat with the race controllers. They're sunbathing in their lounge chairs, feet up at the moment, enjoying watching the race. I think we're doing more work than race control tonight. So that's one aspect of what's going on. Now, look, to be honest, that's courtesy of all of the driving and the standards that's going on since those early lap incidents. I just went and had a chat with Russell Pepperell, car number 750. Currently sitting midfield at 15, not quite in a position where he's right up the back of a car and can feel safe. So, just churning out the laps. He knows that it's a 3-stopper for everybody. Churning out laps. A little bit annoyed he can't do the 54s that the front leaders are doing. A little bit happy that he's doing not the 56s that everyone behind is doing. So, one of those drivers is like, where are you in the race, mate? Oh, I'm just here right around. I'm like, keep on going. So, it's really interesting when you talk to those up the front fight the positions, you get a bit of anxiety. Those in the middle that are quite relaxed, and those at the back are really, really frustrated because like, kind of far, how are these guys going so fast? But anyway, we all have different speeds, but everybody's in this race for a good thing. Why I'm disappointed, Ricky Provenzali is not in the Discord chat, boys, so I can't find out either what he's doing from a driver perspective, and he's in the mix right now, and I think he's the lead AITT driver right at this moment. So I really wanted to catch him, but I couldn't catch him. So Provenzali, you're in my shitbox.
Well, Rick, regardless, has still managed to hold on to 11th there. Dench succeeded in getting past him, and now he's joined by Trent Allen, who's managed to find his way past Darcy Inwood at the back of the pack.
It was good, wasn't it? Dench went around the outside of the left hand, just get the inside of the right hander. He's been climbing up all over the curb, so he got past Provenzali, and then Trent Allen got past Darcy Inwood. Those two teammates are coming together. And Dench certainly going to begin to line up Sproul in a second as well here.
Low ride height on Dench's Porsche there. The sparks telling the story, and the momentum is with him into the Schumacher S, but not much he can do versus Sproul here. He'll have to wait for the other opportunity at the end of the lap here. He was able to get past Provenzali by slipstreaming and passing him at this sequence here, but just a bit too far behind the OPR Mustang to get that one done here. Gently does it on the way into the chicane at the end of the lap here. The faster version of this chicane, the original version of this chicane before the alternate tighter route was created for Grand Prix machinery. It means that it's not as obvious an overtaking opportunity as you think it is, and moreover, you're going to be using it to set up an exit out of the final corner here. Porsche versus Mustang. The slipstream is with Matthew Dench. Can he get into 9th place? Sproul leaves him a bit of lane to the outside there, but blocks any clear path through for the 5, 6, 7, who had to have a couple of goes at the steering into the hairpin there. Dench may argue he was squeezed a little bit from that one, but regardless, Sproul remaining ahead for now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to defend the inside, you should probably then stay to the inside. Try to shove the other guy around. I'm not sure Dench will be completely happy with that. So watch what he tries to do now. Yep, I smelt this coming.
Yeah, still not finding a way through. This is probably one of the toughest battles that Matthew Dench has had to face yet. This Mustang is all over the racetrack trying to keep him behind. The problem for Dench, when he does eventually get past Sproul, is he's not going to have any assistance from slipstream upcoming. He's going to have to focus on trying to get free of these guys before he can try and move his way forward.
Just one of the drivers that climbs all over the curbing, the left-hander going into the S's there. That's a bit of the curbing on the exit in a few of these places as well, we've noted. He seems to carry a lot of speed through the fast chicane, and then it kept him close on the front straight, which was his good opportunity a lap ago. It didn't quite eventuate.
This is the opportunity that I think we've been looking for, right? Is Matty Dench is being held up. If you're going to take the alternate, like splash now, big pit stop later, this is the opportunity to do it. Take that and use the undercut and the speed that he's got to overtake Sam Sproul through the pit stop strategy. But it looks like he's making the dive now. He's going to make that stop.
Yep, nice move up the inside of turn 1 there. And oh no, there's been a spin for Adam Wright. The man running in third, looks like he's going to fall back down to fifth now. Mackay promoted back up to fourth place in the midst of all that. What on earth happened to Adam here? A bit too much AstroTurf on the way through the arena, maybe? Yeah, the rear end of that Ferrari was unsettled from the moment he got on those brakes. Rolls off the racetrack. Gets
like a record baby right round.
Absolutely, and there's the alternate strategy in play now from Connor Nixon, Peter. He started further back in the field. He was leading or challenging for the championship coming into the previous rounds. It just seems like qualifying isn't really his strong suit in that Mercedes, so he's decided to take a short stop now.
Just note Connor Nixon, he is a fast driver. He qualified well. Remember, he got caught up in that lap 1 incident, so he went from the top 10 in the field down to the bottom, and he's fighting his way back tonight. So I think when you're in that circumstance, you've always got to think something alternate to be able to make it back. Have a think of Brad Jones and everything he does in supercars, particularly when it comes to endurance car races. When your car's at the back, do something different. That's how you go forward. And I think Connor's got a great opportunity to do that now. If he gets clean air, and clean air in these cars will make a big difference. But if he goes for an early stop and ends up with blue flags, that's when it can impact him. So there's a little bit of a risk, but if he's got a good engineer looking at where he's going to come in and come out and make sure he's got clean air, I think it's an awesome move, because he'll have 15 to 20 minutes of clean air. He'll be able to undercut some guys he might be able to overtake, and that will make some good positions in the long run for Connor Nixon. So thinking the long way and going there.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for him. Problem for Rick Provenzale. I saw this and so did David. Jay's picked it up here. Rick just a bit too deep on the way into the chicane, and up goes the front end as he goes over the gravel trap, and Inwood and Allen promptly take the position from him. So unfortunate mistake there from the 700, as looks like there's still a bit of drama in their area of the field, but for now the drama here to find your way down to the chicane, down to the hairpin, sorry, at the southern end of the circuit. They were negotiating the lapped car there of Martin Lipsky, and it seems that they all managed to do it without compromising themselves too much. It has resulted in Darcy Inwood staying at the head of this train here, not without potential for a swap. Normanson's back in.
Piecing together what's happening here. So Provenzale lost that time. I think it cost Darcy Inwood lost a bit of time at the same time. Now he's trying to cover off Trent Allen, the big Mustang, moving forwards. Lachlan Caples McLaren looming larger in the background as well. Not a massive braking zone here, but Inwood comes across to just try to cover off Allen.
Into the final corner. See how deep Lachlan Capel is diving that McLaren. That's what got him into trouble on lap 1. He's going to have to be careful how he executes this. Slipstream for the Mustang. Almost thinking about moving to the inside of the Audi into the first turn, but nothing doing for now. Rick Provenzale, of course, the car at the front of this pack before. You'll want that back. He's certainly got the pace to do it, but maybe in this sort of mid-phase of the second stint, that Porsche may be falling off the wagon a little bit. A bit more of a catch-up behind from Lachlan Capel now, and Provenzale has switched to defensive driving. Absolutely slamming the throttle out of the corner there was Lachlan Capel. How much time are we going to see him gain into the hairpin here? See him just jet up to the apex there, as that's an off there for another one of the RTT Audis. It's Normanson, who've just come into the pits.
Now Capel gets through.
Well, there we go. Up the top of the hill, they emerge over the rise, and Lachlan Capel is past Rick Provenzale. This is how it happened for Normanson. It looks like potentially, yeah, he just ran off by himself. Normanson's having a really tough one.
Yeah, so maybe just as that was happening, Gonzalo didn't get a great exit as he was watching where Normanson was going. Lachlan Capel did. Lachlan Capel was scored 13th. This is further up the road. Basswood and Jepson.
Still a very tight fight for 6th place. What is there to be done? If you're in the midst of this fight, you've already put yourself in this position through the first pit cycle. You're Adam Jepson, you're thinking you're probably going to be the first of these guys to pit because you were the first through the lane last time around. And I feel like the window for the splash is in the mid-race is starting to close here, so maybe these guys are just getting themselves into a rhythm, flying in this formation for now before they really get the elbows out when it comes time for the next stop.
Yeah, so then I'm thinking, Dean Mackay has actually pulled a second out of the race leaders in this stint. After all the time he lost in the pit lane, Adam Wright spun off, Dean Mackay goes up in 4th, Dean Mackay closes another second out of the leaders. So he's got pace, he's going to close in on Ben Woods for 3rd there, but things have never looked more secure for Adam Hughes and Dylan Shepherd after, you know, Wright spun, Dean Mackay splotted, and how's Ben Woods gonna hold on to threaten the leaders?
Ben Woods has emerged as a potential threat here. Depends on how he can match their lap times. Looks like a cloud coming over the circuit, maybe a bit cooler track temperature. All of our top 3 running times in the sort of 154.6 or 154.7 second bracket. And the only other driver in the 54s that time around was Dean Mackay and Matthew Dench. Everyone else running low 155s or slower. So we have some clear pace setters in front of this field. Trent Allen. Now the next car to fall within the sights of Lachlan Capel, who has absolutely erased that gap that they had once he passed Rick Provenzale. McLaren's certainly mighty when it comes to slowing down.
Seems to be able to dive deep into the corners and still make the front rotate, and you're seeing Dench do similar into the final corner. They just can dive it deeper into some of those slow corners and still have the front want to turn in. It's got to find a way to try to fox Allen here.
I can see the sort of roots, the sort of embryo of a fox body joke there, David. Is that what you were going for?
No, not really.
All right, fair enough. Mustang, fox
You've got,
body,
like,
etc.
Pareidolia, but for like dad jokes. You're like seeing them on the surface of the moon when actually it's just a random array of craters.
Comes with turning 30. Well, Peter, save us from this potential discussion. What do you have for us?
You'll love this, boys. Like the moment I called out Ricky for being in my shit locker and not being in Discord, that's when he was looking at monitors to try and come back in Discord, and that's when he went off the track. So it wasn't a driving error. It was oh, hang on, I should be there because I'm the league owner. So he's now with the team. He's having a good chat and a good laugh. But I tell you what, boys, they are well aware that Husey and Shep out the front are killing everyone. Right, they're out there driving, working well as a team and driving fast. And yeah, the talk amongst the other teams is, where's my safety car? And I tell you what, I reckon I got bad news for. I can't see a safety car coming out on this track because there's 2 reasons why. One, because it's the GP layout that it is, there's lots and lots of runoff. So if a car goes off it's likely to be well away from the racing line and the circuit, and race control are just going to say, yep, no worries, you guys in tow. And two, I rarely see safety cars at this layout anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't really lend itself to safety cars, this circuit. We didn't have one in the limited series either. So, yeah, it stands to reason that the same would happen here in the open series. I suppose the only way we'd see a safety car happen is if someone ran out of fuel on the pit straight, or if someone basically forgot where their brain was and did something that you know, we haven't seen any drivers in this league do yet over the course of this round, making silly mistakes. Keep our eyes on Connor Nixon here. He's losing time, unfortunately. Took a lot of extra fuel. And Ethan Bass been running very consistently faster than him there in the top 6. Yeah, this is turning into a bit of a tough one for Connor Nixon. All alone on the circuit at the moment, David, and he can try and take advantage of clear air here, but I think I think this mid-phase of the race is going to be one to forget for Connor.
We talk about this quite often. GT3 cars are very sophisticated race cars. They've had sort of multiple generations for all of these manufacturers to tune the aero and the ABS and the traction control, and they're pretty good cars at looking after a set of tyres these days. So you don't get massive tyre drop-off, but they can be quite weight sensitive, and so you aim usually run the car as light as possible. Connor Nixon's strategy of bring that second stop forward, throw a bunch of fuel in the car. Now he's running around a bit heavy compared to other guys who are in the back, sort of quarter of their stint, and are really looking like they are going to overcut him with the pace that they can do when their cars are lighter.
Yeah, well, Adam Hughes, things going swimmingly for himself and his teammate Dylan Shepherd up the front of the field at the moment. Shepherd was the fastest car on track last time by, still setting those times consistently in the 1 minute 54s. Hughes lost a bit of time on the previous lap, and it's unclear exactly why, though I do believe they were making their way past some lap traffic a little earlier. We've hurt them just a little. As we tick over to 54 minutes remaining in the race, beginning the 35th lap. And thus far, 15, 16 laps being completed in this stint for pretty much everybody in the field. Now it's time for Lachlan Capel to match up against Darcy Inwood. Now, Capel started in 6th. It has been a fight back all race for him. Still got penalties hanging over his head, but he's just focusing on recovery for now. And deep into the first corner they come. Darcy Inwood doesn't have much of a response for Lachlan Capel there, though I can't imagine any driver in that situation would. I certainly wouldn't if I had a McLaren bearing down on me like that. Jepson, looks like my prediction came true there, Peter. He is going to be the first into the pit lane of the second cycle for those that are going for the 2 long stints to start.
That window for 2 long stints. So I said 34, 35 minutes. So we're now at 1 hour and 7. So we're right on the double of that. I think over the next 2 to 3 laps, we're going to see everybody cycle through. And then really it's the question of who needs what level of splash to get to the end, and that's going to make a big difference. So we'll try and see if we can get a driver in or out as we're going through the race, but given that we don't have a safety car, you know, they're all pretty heavily concentrating, and you need to be fairly relaxed to be able to maintain your speed and talk to bullheads in commentary without putting a commentator's curse on you whilst you're on broadcast. So, yeah, all of these things come together when we try and pull it together, but we'll see what happens. We might be able to drag someone in at some stage.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, the drivers will be wanting to focus on their races for now. Ashley Cutchy and Trent Stapleton, the next 2 drivers to come into the lane here on the second cycle, and 23.8 seconds for Stapleton in the box. That's pretty much bang on for what we'd expect. Adam Wright, the first of our front runners to come into the lane. And it looks like Darcy Inwood and Sam Sproul will be pitting together once again. This is going to be interesting here. Now, on the last stint, David, Hughes and Shepherd pitted the lap after Sproul and Inwood. I would assume that they're going to be doing the same this time around.
Well, it depends if you think they're always going to pit a lap later than them, or if you think that they are going to do 18 lap stints again, and because Sproul and Inwood have done that again. Adam Hughes has led the way almost this whole one. Remember, he went the 1 lap longer the first time around. They had that swap halfway through, but now Hughes has just led Shepherd the whole way this stint.
Yeah, it's been a solid drive for Adam Hughes, but the big advantage for Shepherd is he has been in the box seat to save all of that fuel. And you never know, he might actually leap Adam Hughes in this pit cycle with a bit less fuel to put in the car to fill it back up. Well, Adam Wright has come out in 12th place. Still waiting on pit stops for the majority of the field. Looks like neither of our top two are going to go for the lane this time around. Leith McClymont has decided to, well, actually, I don't think it's a decision. It looks like he's towed back to the lane there as Leith.
Gents, Leith McClymont has ran out of fuel and pulled the car over to the right of the track on the green area next to the fence just before the Schumacher S's and requested a tow. Race control have given him the tow without a safety car, so that to me is a clear indication that race control are being fairly generous with the tows and the time off track now. So this is really going to save. This race is going green to the end, boys. So no safety car. Let's get be prepared to race it all the way.
Now there's Leith McClymont, unfortunately running out of juice and pulling the car over right next to the guardrail there. Reasonably safe place to pull the car over.
Way early in the lap to run out of fuel though. That's like,
yeah.
You are so short if you're stopping at the far hairpin.
I was about to say that. I would have expected him to be running out towards the end of the lap maybe, but a clear miscalculation there by Leith, or maybe he was intending to pit last time by and just forgot. Not entirely sure what the deal was there. Maybe we'll get an answer. We'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, far from ideal for the 317 as there's more pit stops on the cards here. Provenzale, Pepperell and Reardon, and it looks like Daniel Coleman jumping into the lane as well. Bit of a long one for Daniel Coleman in the 23, 34 seconds. That is about 10 seconds longer than we'd expect from anyone else who's pitted thus far. The battle for third is on as well with Ben Woods and Dean Mackay. Shepherd's going to be the first of our leaders to jump into the lane there from second place. Once again, Adam Hughes is going to go a lap longer, but this time Hughes has been the one who's been punching the hole in the air. Dean Mackay this time enters the pits with all the fuel that he needs in his car to make it to the box. We'll see if he can gain anything on Shep and Hughes in this cycle.
Yeah, so Shepherd's just completed 19 laps. Adam Hughes is only just starting his 19th, having gone and pitted a lap later the first time around. So looks very promising for Adam Hughes that he's led this whole stint and he's still doing 19 laps and he's still going to be one of the last drivers to pit. See, Ben Woods stayed out when Dean Mackay pitted. Mackay had caught Woods significantly over the last few laps as well. So Mackay's bringing himself back into podium contention, that's for sure.
Ethan Bass with a very quick pit stop there. Looks like he's decided to take his short fill in at the mid-stage as well. So Bass will come out just behind Dean Mackay, who re-emerges in fifth. And Adam Wright still remaining in seventh spot. looks like Wright may have had another issue somewhere around there. Well, as we wait for Adam Hughes to jump into the pit lane and potentially for a little bit more information on Adam Wright, Peter Baxter's had a chance to catch up with Leith McClung.
Look, and Leith has given me the story about what's happened. I can't tell this story, mate. Leith, over to you.
Hey guys, I read the remaining leaders as remaining laps. We were busy just talking bit trash in the Discord and just driving around, and I didn't even know it. That's what I read, and I was like, oh yeah, come in this lap, and then I got down to the carousel, and yeah, she started sputtering, and I was like, oh, you idiot. And I was just telling the boys how good I was too, so that's gone down real well for me.
And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of smack talk about that in the days to come, Leith. But regardless, this was always going to be a tough round for me. They've been slogging it out all the way through the midfield. Still got plenty of the Revolution cars in contention in the midfield, so there's still potential for a great result here for the team.
Hopefully, you never know what's going to happen, what just happened to me, but yeah, hopefully we get something out of it, but we're just in there having a bit of fun now, because most of us just keep flogging away, I guess.
You do. Thanks for joining us, Leith. Commiserations, and better luck next time.
Thanks, guys.
I'll send Leith back to the team, and he can go and help the team make what they can without running out of fuel, I guess. All right.
Indeed. Thanks very much for bringing us Leith there, Peter. And, well, things are starting to look a bit leery here in the top five. Adam Hughes has made his stop. He's come out with even more time over Dylan Shepherd now, leading by 2.6 seconds. Looks like Shepherd didn't have the best of runs through pit lane. 49 seconds, and Ethan Bass now suddenly putting himself in contention for the podium here, getting ahead of his teammate Ben Woods.
So quick stop from Bass, but again, you know, while he might have more to pay later on, we've seen how strong it is to just be, you know, 5-10 kilos lighter, really be zipping along. So this is a stint where Bass is going to need to apply a lot of pace. We are at the moment about 24 laps to go, and once we're sort of 19 laps to go is when you could make your final stop. So Bass is sort of going, let's have one full stop and then a three-quarter stop and a three-quarter stop rather than a full stop and a half stop, I think. So he sort of started looking towards the checkered flag and wanting to get racing.
Let's see if he can clear a path for his teammate, as it were. Brad Coates back out on track in the Revolution iRacing McLaren, just letting these guys by on the way to the chicane there. It was out of shot, but there he is popping in the background behind the 99 of Woods. And Bass has caught up to Dean Mackay now. Mackay with the heavier car in this instance. Bass is creeping up on him here down the start-finish straight, just getting that whisper of slipstream that he could potentially translate into something better from here. We're going to have a lot of work to do to catch up to Shepherd and Hughes, though. It's going to be, I think, a clear-cut 1-2 for OPR at this stage of the race, but we still have 43 minutes remaining. David, anything could happen from here.
Yeah, so let's check out what's happening. That's Ashley Kutchi really dropping back. This isn't going to be another driver out of fuel, is it? No, 4 laps since Kutchi last stopped. I hope his cat's all right.
Yeah, maybe he's just looking for a bit of clear air here and just focus on his race yet to come. Peter, you've rejoined us here as we keep our eyes on the battle between Mackay and Bass. Very interesting strategy call here by the Orbit Drop Bear Mustang.
Just having a chat with the Revolution guys. They're having a great old time. They're really enjoying the race. They know they're not up to speed. They're racing each other and having a good bit of fun. And they love the fact that Leith gave them a bit of a laugh. So really relaxed. And you know, for me, it takes, you know, some of we get all too serious in some of this sim racing every now and then, and those guys are having an absolute ball tonight. So yeah, if you can hear their chat and some of the things that I've been listening to, you'd be giggling as well. So that's where I've been. I won't go back there. We'll try and get some more info on the guys that are actually really racing hard. And I guess the only bloke I can try and talk to is Dean Mackay when I get a chance. So we'll see how he goes, and when we get closer to what we think might be the splash and dash, see whether he's got something to bridge that 7-second gap.
It's going to be a lot of bridging required. Shepard and Hughes still setting low 55s, mid 54s at the front here. Mackay and Bass, they're around the same pace. So, yeah, while they may be keeping up, so to speak, with the OPR duo, they're not really making any gains right now. So I think there's going to be a bit more to come from this one. For now, Ethan Bass with Dean Mackay in his sights. I'm wondering, David, if I'm Bass here and I've put myself into this position, I'm in the slipstream of Mackay, who is maybe a little bit faster on pace. Do I fuel save here and maybe make my final stop even shorter than it would be?
You're in a group and stand to be able to, save a little bit, extend, make your final stop a second or two shorter. That could be where the jump comes from if we think we're racing green all the way to the end, which we think we are. I think we're 3 laps away from that final stop window opening.
Stuart Shaw into the pit lane. His third visit after unfortunately having some technical issues earlier. This battle for 11th is still going off. Sprout in the OPR staying up front here has unfortunately missed out on getting that top 10 position that he was fighting for earlier. Remains to be seen if Trent Allen and Darcy Inwood will be able to make any gains on him. Remember that Inwood late in the stint had those issues with his Audi's handling. The rear end was not cooperating. So if I'm Inwood, if I don't have a clear advantage over Allen here, maybe I stay behind too. New fastest lap of the race, meanwhile, Matthew Dench making his way up to 7th and down into the 54.3s now.
Yeah, the track's cooling. It's getting much later into the day. It's sort of getting towards European summer, so they've got long afternoons and evenings in the sun, but it is 25 past 6, so the track's been cooling off as we go. We're entering this sort of stint towards the end where the drivers are getting really light on fuel as well. So it's prime time now, and also the final sort of 3-4 laps to set some super hot laps. And see if we can move that fastest lap of the race again. Track also maybe rubbering in a little bit in some places that just improves the grip a little bit. Track can often get slower once it gets super warm, 22 degrees Celsius in the air. Wind even dropping away a little bit as well. It's honestly no surprise to me that Dench in the place that he is flying along.
Yeah, absolutely flying. The gap has been brought down at the front meanwhile. Shepard's been taking time out of Hughes every lap since he came out of the pits, and that 2.6 seconds that they had is now a mere 3/10.
I wouldn't necessarily say that Hughes and Shepard are racing each other. I think they are racing the field together, and it'll be a team decision about where they finish. And maybe they'll race the last couple of laps and fight each other there. But I think right now they're just going to work together and make sure that they maximise the short fuel stop that they've got left. So that window is about to open in another minute's time. So one more lap after this one, I think any pit stops after that's going to get to an end. I noticed that Angus Lawford, number 52, has just come out of the pits. I'm going to call that as a lap too early to get to the end, but who knows? He might be saving a rate of fuel greater than we all can fathom, and we'll make it the end and jump a few spots. So good luck to him if he can.
Well, Lawford did 22 laps in the middle stint.
Yeah,
Is that right? I think Lawford can do it.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, he's
What car is Lawford in?
he's in a Mercedes. Yeah, so interesting goings on there. As our update on the weather is upon us, we're down to 22 Celsius track temp as the clouds have been moving over the racetrack. These are basically prime racing conditions in a GT3 car. They tend to really enjoy those sort of low 20s track temperatures.
Why is the track map orientated like that? That's not north-south aligned, and it also makes no sense for being aligned with the pit straight either.
I don't know.
It makes it look most like the flying kangaroo on the tail of a Qantas plane.
Yeah. In a
Or a chicken
sense.
wing.
Mindset, yeah, look at that track when you drive the Nordscliffe, right? But you're right, it's not orientated to the normal ways we would see in orientation. But if you're doing the whole Nords, that's kind of where it sits. Yeah, interesting orientation.
Yeah, basically flipped indeed.
You and I were confused about was it most sport race. We were like, wait, which way is west on this track?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's often difficult if you I mean, I do spend a lot of time looking at maps of racetracks and looking at them on Google Earth, but I do tend to forget exactly which way a lot of tracks face. I think that orientation might just be because it stops the track from filling too much of the screen. If it was the other way around, it would be sticking a bit more into the frame. I don't know. That's just my media student side speaking.
It's about how it fills the negative space, you know.
Indeed.
And I think this race is a, perfect representation of, using the hues. Nah, that did not make it.
It did.
No, I'm sorry.
Most of the hues are grey with all the cloud that's been coming over this racetrack.
Yeah, but one of them's leading.
Oh, that's what you were doing.
Passed over, I think so.
Yeah, I'm a bit slow today. Oh boy. Well, coming up on half an hour to go. Check back in with this battle that's still going on between Sproul, Allen and Inwood as Normanson jumps into the pits once more. Now, keep an eye on that. Yeah, it looks like you were right, David. That 22 lap stint there for Angus Lawford. I'm not sure how he pulled that off. I mean, he has been running more towards the back end of the top 20 for the majority of this race. So
I can tell you he has pulled it off. He did 1 minute 57 instead of 1 minute 54s or 55s. So, I mean, it was an interesting idea. I like that someone's done it. And while Lawford is 19th right now, he's made his final stop. By my reckoning, he's made his final stop, and there's a lot of drivers in front of him. Connor Nixon, for example, still got to make a third stop. We'll be doing it, and Lawford, we'll see where he gets to. He's going to stay on the lead lap, so that's nice.
Yeah, it could be some late stage profit for Angus Lawford in the Project 36 machine.
Effectively, guys, what he's done is given everybody else a drive-through penalty.
Oh, he's coasting something ferocious right now as well. Oh, it's fun to... Can we get a Lawford onboard lap? Like, is that too much to ask? Because it's... it's fun. Get a load of this.
Alright, so down the front stretch we come, revving it all the way out.
He stopped 3 laps ago. and there's 17 to go, so he's got to make 20 on this stint. 18 is about what drivers are doing flat out, so he's trying to save 2 whole laps in this stint right now.
We know he knows what he's doing because he's already saved. Yeah, he saved an extra 2 laps, so he saved 4 laps compared to everybody. So, yeah.
Certainly a bit of an out-of-the-box strategy here from Angus Lawford, but we've still got half an hour to see whether or not it'll work out for him. Adam Wright jumping into the lane in the Hyperion number 70 Ferrari. What kind of pit stop?
One problem is he's holding second and holding third in places where everyone else would normally option. So I worry he's got too much engine braking in the coast phase by holding a lower gear.
There's potential for that to result in some engine dramas later on. So, you never know. Might have an ace up his sleeve that we're not aware of, but for now, Angus Lawford, the big outlier in this race. Final stop complete for Adam Wright with only 13 seconds stopped in the lane. So, here we go. The leader's starting to come up on Angus Lawford to put him a lap down here. And, well, question is, when will Shepherd and Hughes decide to jump in?
Shepherd, you called out, closed in on Hughes, and now has dropped back a little bit. So I wonder if he's having some problems other than just his popping in and out at the moment.
Yeah, I wonder too. It's really hard to read exactly what Shepherd's been doing in this race. I mean, yeah, he made the switch with Adam Hughes early on to save fuel. That made sense, but the way the gap's ebbed and flowed since, a lot of question marks over it from me. I think I was just looking at Adam Hughes, and I think he was lifting and coasting into turn 1. So that might be half the reason why Shepherd's been making these gains and losses, because maybe Hughes is pushing for a few laps and then decides to save a bit for a few laps just to keep it consistent.
Yeah, so Mackay has gone from 9.5 seconds behind the leaders to 6 seconds behind the leaders. Ethan Bass is obviously very quick at the moment, but will need a longer final stop than Hughes, Shepherd, or Ethan Bass, or Ben Woods. So Bass is doing good pace right now. Still a long stop to come, just like Matthew Dench, who's just behind them there in 6th, but it lines up a couple of Orbit Drop There Motorsports. When the orbits line up, it's called an eclipse. Not necessarily. Depends on the perspective.
Yes, certainly does.
So guys, Adam Wright has done his last stop. He's just come out, so lap 45, he's done his last stop. He's now currently, I guess, the leader of the last stoppers so far in P15. So Connor Nixon about 4 spots behind him, but a fair chunk of time, and that's the problem that Angus Lawford had. We talked him up in terms of what he's trying to do into 2-stop strategy, but I think being a whole lap down, that's the bit that's really going to cost Angus. He probably doesn't. He's only got probably a third to half of a lap up his sleeve from the strategy. So that's going to cost him in the long run.
And what's costing Adam Wright as well as the fact that he's come out to the battle between Provenzali and Pepperell. Managed to make his way past Pepperell, but yeah, I think it might have taken a bit longer than Wright would have liked. Ethan Bass, the second of our front runners to jump into the lane there, as Matthew Dench and Ben Woods will make the trade here. Dench, again, despite the penalty that he's gotten, a very impressive run up through the field. Looking at potential effective 4th, maybe a podium if things work out for him. Bass, of course, taking his quick stop in the middle of the race, and so he's going to pay that debt back here. 17 seconds for the final stop for Ethan. Out he will come, still ahead of Adam Wright.
Yeah, he's got a nice jump there from Adam Wright. He's got probably about a 4-second jump, what I can look at just on track. That's Adam going into turn 2 right now, and Ethan's just come out of turn 1. So yeah, no, so that puts Ethan as the current leader of the last stoppers, But we'll see how that go, right? Because obviously Adam Hughes and Dylan Shepherd, I think, will come in and out and stay well ahead of Ethan, but maybe there'll be a bit of a mix up. And this is where the fuel strategy and the saving over the last hour and a half is really going to make a difference, because a litre drop in fuel will be 2 seconds in the pit stops. If you can save 10 litres of fuel, that could be a good sort of 10-second difference. And we'll see what that comes out of. So Adam Wright did a 13-second stop. Ethan Bass did a 17-second stop. So there's a 4-second difference just in pit stops. So yeah, a long way to go yet.
Our leaders continuing on for now. Looks like they're leaving it as late as they can to take that final stop. And if you're out front, I don't see any other avenue there. Wright's next target, Rick Provenzale, car 700, and going to try and set up a run down the back stretch here. Looks like maybe a bit of momentum from the Ferrari on the headlight flash to try and distract Rick. There's not going to be any opportunity for a pass here at the chicane. You brake very deep into it, carry so much speed through, and it's practically impossible to run side by side. Pepperell decides now is the time to come in as these two are battling ahead. I think he realizes that both Wright and Provenzale are going to lose time, and so this is a potential chance for him to undercut Rick and get past him for position.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing we didn't pick up earlier is that Matty Dench only had a short stop in his second stop, so he's got an 8-second fuel liability that he has to pay back in this stop. So whilst he's coming up to fourth now and potentially looking at podium because of his speed, that 8-second liability might see him drop down to about 6th real time. So he's got to pay back what he sort of bought in that second pit stop by, I think, fueling only or short fueling, and mixing up the strategy given that he was out of sync a little bit.
Sam Sproul's in trouble here. Trent Allen having a look at him down at the southern end of the circuit. These three have been in lockstep for basically since that second pit stop. And seems like
Sproul
some
and
good pace from the 27.
Qualified next to each other as well. They've run almost the whole race together, but they are making a sandwich of Trent Allen for the moment, heading towards final stops as we are.
Indeed. I'm not sure how Revolution tastes, but OPR
It doesn't
bread,
taste like cake, that's for sure.
certainly
Or maybe
not.
it does taste like letting them eat cake.
Maybe it does. Well, through the final chicane they come, none of them going for the lane. Adam Wright has still not been able to get past Rick Provenzale in all of this. Seems like a very
That's moving in the
frustrating.
fence right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It looks very frustrating here for Adam, because Provenzale's trying to stay out there, and it looks like he's gotten desperate, firing up the inside into the final hairpin. Rick turned in regardless, and I strongly doubt that Adam Wright would have been able to make the corner anyway, braking that late. You could certainly tell that red mist was partially descending, Wright being put in this position behind a car that still has yet to pit. And despite multiple attempts, unable to get past, losing time to everyone ahead of him. Well, now he's definitely going to lose that time. Up the inside, a little bit late. You could tell he tried to turn in, but I think he caught the curb, and that there was already way too much load on the front tyres as well.
I think he's overdone that there as well. Like he had himself to the inside, and then he's overcooked it. Like he had a really good opportunity. He had a really good run through the chicane here, and his rival had gotten a bit out of shape, pushing out wide and onto that high curb. And then he's barreled down the inside, missed it, and spun himself, unfortunately, for Wright.
Yeah, I think you've called that right. I think it was just a little bit too much, too late. And that understeer has just put him in a position where it caused the contact, to be honest. And yeah, that's probably hurt him more than he really needed to hurt him.
Matthew Dench comes in for his final stop. He's one of the drivers who were expecting to pay a bit of debt here. The list of cars clear to the end steadily grows. 16 seconds in the box for Matthew Dench. He will come out just behind this battle here. Inwood, the car in front of him for now.
Could be more clever than we think, because the car did go up on the jacks, and I think these sports cars only do that if you do select changing tyres. So by splitting it, he pitted when there was 24 laps to go, and he's like, okay, well, I'll take enough fuel for 12, and then I'll stop and take enough fuel for 12 again. And perhaps at both of those stops, he gets to change 2 tyres, where he'll be against some drivers who get to their final, you know, splash of fuel of 8 laps or so, and don't have the luxury of enough time to change some tyres. So Dench might also have fresher tyres in his final 20 minutes than some of the others that he's racing. And obviously his teammate's gone for the same strategy as well. Ethan Bass doing similar.
Yeah, good point indeed. I gotta say, I miss the days when GT3 had fuel and tyres done separately. iRacing moved them to the IMSA rule set a few years ago, where fuel and tyres are done at the same time, and so that's offered a little bit less variance on strategies, I think, but you still see surprises from time to time, and drivers who will take advantage of the circumstances offered to get tyres and fuel at the same time where they can.
Because the tyres are so robust, right? When you let them do an hour stint, they're setting their fastest laps at the end of the hour. Like, let us double stint them. They're good tyres.
Well, there's no reason, guys, you can't double stint them. Remember when iRacing had that rule, though? Remember when iRacing had that rule? When you do endurance racing in GT3s, you would double or triple stint tyres. Like, you'd be on the same set of tyres for up to 3 hours, and they would still be flying. So, in a lot of cases, there's no real reason to change these tyres, even in this 2-hour race. You could do a PEL race on the same set of tyres. No ways. You're not going to wear them out, and they're going to be nearly just as fast if you look after them and don't flat spot them and lock them up. And with ABS and those sorts of things, you know, the likelihood is so much lower now. The tyres do last. Why do we change them? Because we can, and it doesn't cost us money in iRacing.
And because it doesn't cost us time, and that's sort of the point that Reese and I have got, that it just minimises what was otherwise some great, you know, strategic options that we used to see so often, that you still see from LMP2s, that you still see from Porsche Cup cars in endurance races, and that see in the real world in World Endurance Championship. They run like hundreds of laps on like left side tyres and stuff. It's
absolutely
it's interesting, and I'm shame we don't have it.
What we can't forget though is that when you change a set of tyres on a GT3 car, they go on cold, and they do take a lap to 2 laps to warm up to proper operating temperature. You can lose time, so it's not a natural Formula 1 undercut where you're putting hot tyres on a car. There is a risk of cold tyres. Probably not so much at a nice wide open smooth track like we've got here tonight, but at difficult tracks like Bathurst, for example, a cold tyre lap can cost you a second or two. So there is that dilemma that needs to play out, and you can think about it.
I remember a few years ago, my team Fusion Sim Racing ran the 24 hours in the French countryside, and they were driving the BMW M8. They were quad stinting tyres through the night, which was pretty crazy. Well, we'll see if there's anything like that in the future. For now, focus on the present. There's Adam Jepson just coming into the lane there. Brad Coates coming out as well. Coates, I think, a bit far away from gaining any kind of advantage through his final pit stop there. He's one of the drivers who suffered plenty of issues here tonight. The battle's still going on between Sam Sproul and Trent Allen, and the entirety of the top 9 here have yet to come into the lane. Matthew Dench, on his way out of the pits, is right back on the pace here. 1 minute 54.4 on the previous lap. So we'll see what this number 5, 6, 7 will be able to do.
the way you know that those numbers in flags isn't how many football World Cups they've won, is that there's a 6 next to England.
Could it be world champions in F1? No.
There's like a number 8 next to the flag of Iceland or something. I have no idea what's going on there. The rest of the track makes sense to me. Like there's a pile of spare tires there.
Next.
Wood stopping. Yep. Here comes some more.
Oh yes, in comes Sam Sproul. Trent Allen will continue on. See if there's any distance put between them and in what order once the cycle's complete for the two of them. Yeah, there we go.
Flags of the world: Sweden, Spain, France, Germany, Argentina, Italy. Pretty sure that's Iceland.
6, 7. You know what I think it is? I think it's grandstand numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the spectator sections. That's what those
Switzerland,
numbers
Finland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Greece, Denmark, part of Austria, France again, Germany again. That is a football. Isn't that the German Football Associations?
I have no idea. The white
Flag of France for the third time.
Yep. Yeah. Austria, UK, Italy, Norway, Netherlands.
Luxembourg.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is Luxembourg. Wrong shade of blue.
They're very close, aren't they? But I'm pretty sure that is Luxembourg. Okay, Director J, just find us the pile of spare tyres as well that's out there, and I'll be happy.
So while you guys are goofing off, I just went and had a chat with Dean Mackay. Dean he's racing hard, boys. So whilst he hasn't been able to keep up with Adam Hughes and Shep, he's pretty happy. He's got a little bit of a break on Ben Woods, so still sitting in a podium. Expect Dean to come into the pits in another lap or so's time. Fuel only, no tyres. But I can tell you, didn't really want to chat. Very much concentrating, one-word answers. So these boys are racing hard and they are at each other. So I think with Ben going the way he is, and if Matty Dench can come up and put a bit more revolution pressure on him, we might see some changes at the podium as we get closer to that checkered flag.
Look at them, they're beautiful.
Ah, yes. Big truck tyres. See a couple of tyre bundle tyres in there as well. And, well, that's where they are in relation to the rest of the racetrack. Turn 3 in the foreground, turn 2 in the background towards the pit building. I love these tours around the circuit that Jay gives us in these long races. Really calls to attention and things that you might miss when you're driving around here in the sim. Rick Provenzal has jumped into the lane as well. Car 700 with only 12.2 seconds to his name in the box. Looks like he'll come out well ahead of Pepperell. Actually, maybe not. Probably more sort of level, very close between those two. Sproul and Inwood also through. Sproul, of course, pitting that lap earlier than his teammate. They now run 12th and 13th. As I hear the pit siren going off again, that's Daniel Coleman that's brought it in.
Dylan Shepherd.
Oh, and Dylan Shepherd. Oh,
second.
There we go.
So Adam Hughes will continue on longer again as Shepherd calls time after 18 laps. Hughes begins his 18th. Might go for a 19th again. I said most of the things around this track make sense. Actually, this roller coaster doesn't. It's weird as hell. It's got a horizontal launch alongside the front straight, goes into a little thing, and then it trundles around through the upper level of a shopping centre at like 20 k's an hour for half of its distance.
Right.
Also had an incredible number of technical problems with its launching mechanism because instead of using, I think they used something else instead of linear induction motors. I know people who are big roller coaster nerds and they'll be coming for me if I say the wrong technology.
Gotta be careful with us nerds. We certainly don't like inaccuracy, but tell you
Actually,
what,
I think you'll find instead of an entitlement roller coaster, it's definitely a Vekoma.
whatever that means. Anyway, Adam Hughes leading the way here at the front of the field, and Shepherd coming out with about 5 seconds back to Dean Mackay, it seems. So he looks pretty safe in terms of that threat to his position. Provenzale versus Pepperell, meanwhile. Seems like Russell has not succeeded in getting the undercut that he wanted there over Rick, not least because his pit stop was nearly 2 seconds slower. So the two of these guys will keep battling to the end here for 14th and 15th. Just have our current top 3 out there yet to come into the lane, and it seems like they're going to stay out for a lap longer, at least in the case of Hughes and Woods. Serious question from Jay. What are these people actually watching?
On the Nordschleife, no action happening at Sabine Schmidt's curve on the Nordschleife, or indeed the Hutzenbach there. But the fans, now if you've seen practice for any of the Nurburgring endurance races, I don't think there needs to be too many cars going past, and there will be someone standing there with a beer and grilling some sausages.
And that's the problem. How?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing there. They're not watching car racing. They've just.
I'll stand anywhere with it. I'll stand anywhere with a beer and doing sausages, mate. You don't even need cars to be going past.
Good times, good times. Well, I think it'd be a nice place to just sit and chill, even if there is a race going on at the Grand Prix circuit. You get a view of some of it at least. You can see the cars in the background, and you can just enjoy what passes for weather in Germany. And Jay's about to show us what he thinks is the best view. In the motel on the exit of the final corner. Go out to the balcony, watch the race from the start-finish stretch. Can't see much of the rest of the circuit, but regardless, it's a very nice place to stay, or so I hear.
Leader pits, 9 minutes to go, 5 laps to go, another 19 laps from Adam Hughes. Is there a chance?
Oh, no!
Just hit the, Ben Woods has just hit the barrier on the way into pits, boys.
Oh, he did a David Coulthard. Oh dear. That's not ideal for Ben Woods. There might be some damage to the front of the car from that. He might have gotten us slowed up in time to avoid too much damage. Okay, yeah. Little
See, that's
little
the
clip
flip
to the
side
front.
of the Tony Hawk. If you can get to the inside of that, then you can ride the Armco around it. Ben Woods hasn't been able to do. It's going to be costly in his battle against guys like Dean Mackay and others. I was going to say Hughes might be out well ahead of Shepherd, and he is.
Yeah, massive
Ben
lead.
Woods just did a 7.8 second pit stop, so not much fuel at all, and that's the shortest of the pit stops. So yeah, and maybe hitting the barrier might have cost him a couple of seconds, but I think he just made it up, guys, because they do get one fast repair in this, and that would have been used then if he needed it. But yeah, 7.8 seconds is 2.1 seconds, 2.3 seconds faster than Adam Hughes. So yeah, awesome pit stop.
Yeah, and Jay's just told us that Ben has not used his fast repair yet. Dench is the only driver in the top 10 that has used a fast repair, and I think that makes sense. Dench has been racing pretty hard in this event. But that is the field more or less cleansed here. And everyone will just keep going now for the final 7.5 minutes and see how things work out for them. Shepherd's already bringing that gap down a little versus Adam Hughes. It's down to about 3.1 seconds right now as we keep our eyes on Lachlan Capel here, working his way back into 9th place and looking to pass Adam Jepson in the very near future. Looking at where Capel is right now, is Rick Provenzale gets a 5-second penalty for...
Now that I disagree with, unless it's for the moving in the braking zone 2 corners beforehand.
Yeah, because like I'm seeing...
If it's for turning in on Adam Wright, like, what are you meant to do? Like, put out a cheese board for the fellow when he dives down the inside and misses the apex? Give him your whole living room?
Hang on,
say
guys.
that.
Hang on, it was Adam Wright that got the 5-second penalty.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. It was displayed the other way around on our overlays. The 5-second penalty has gone to car 70, causing the incident on lap 49. So
that's about right.
There you go.
Proportional, I reckon.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw that a while ago and put it in the back of my head. Then that came up and I thought, oh wait, hang on. So yeah, speaking of Wright, he's actually not too far behind the battle here between Jepson and Capel. And looking at where Capel is right now, 25-second penalty to be added to his race time. That will put him back to 13th place behind Darcy Inwood when the penalties eventually applied.
And remember, we've got the same for Matty Deents, right? Matty Deents is carrying a 5-second penalty, so right now that puts him behind Ben Woods, and if Ben stays within 5 seconds, then that position is easily taken.
Here goes Capel. Down the inside. Oh, a bit of a squeeze in the contact.
Not again! Oh dear. Well, Capel slows up to allow Jepson to continue on and potentially avoid the ire of race control for a 3rd time in this race. And that altogether has lost them both the position to Adam Wright, who'll be breathing a sigh of relief that he somehow managed to recover 8th place from that. But don't forget, Wright himself has that 5-second penalty hanging over his head. That's going to be putting him back behind Jepson at least. Capel now looking for a move at the hairpin. Moving around a bit too much maybe.
Yeah, a bit unlucky there from Lockie Capel. There was a bit of a neck code in that contact with him and Jepson at the hairpin, so he probably could have got away with kept him driving, but he did the right thing and pulled up to avoid the error of race control.
Yeah, that's almost...
That's less cut and dry than lap 1, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
3 laps to go, and it's only by a small margin because there was 4 minutes 30 on the clock when Adam Hughes crossed. So yeah, a little bit slower across the whole race, and it would have been 1 lap shorter. Go 3 more, and there's a few drivers like Ben Woods, for example, with his quick stop. Lachlan Capel maybe with his quick stop, does it catch them out a little bit?
Let's see. Wait for these projected final 2 laps of the race to start. Capel now coming back to the same corner where he and Jepson had this incident a lap ago. And Capel again having a little look to the inside, but this time he is much earlier on the brakes and looking for the move somewhere else. So
Hughes returned curve on Shepherd's pace there, so it retains 3.5 seconds between them, and I'm not seeing Hughes backing it up to Dylan Shepherd just yet. And the car gets back to 3rd, the way it all runs at the moment.
If anything, the gap's increasing for Adam Hughes, up over 3.5 seconds now. It's back to where it was when he came out of the pits almost. Plenty of battles going on through this field as we enter our final 2 laps of this race. Ethan Bass versus Nick Wood is the first of them here. Trying to get into 6th is Nick, up from 10th place. Ethan Bass qualifying 8th. and running a very consistent race. And there's the battle here between Jepson and Cable, with Lachlan making up a lot of time coming up towards the apex, but not enough to set Jepson offline. Sproul and Inwood, the teammates who have kept each other close company all race long, fighting for 12th place. And then you move back to the two guys who, once again, seem to be able to get rid of each other. Rick Provenzale and Russell Pepperell. There is actually a battle for position going on off the lead lap as well. It's between these two, Kurt Normanson and Jamie Saxon, fighting for 20th place.
Shepard's lost big time on this lap.
As
Like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't see any mechanical black flag or such like on the car. I picked it up. I've picked up where it happened. It was a little slide in turn 3 earlier on this lap. So it looks like even Shepard is unable to escape the wrath of the Audi's rear end. Here he comes through turn 2. And you'll watch him get on the brakes here, and the rear end just breaks free a little bit at the turn-in point, slip and slide, has to recover it, and that's where those 2 seconds went.
Like grains of sand through the hourglasses of our lives. Lachlan Capel ahead of Adam Jepson. Hughes started the final lap. These drivers beginning the final lap of the race.
Yeah, so does Nick Wood have anything for Ethan Bass here in the first corner? Black flag for Capel, as it looks like he's exceeded the incident limit through more contact with Adam Jepson to start the final lap of this race. Ethan Bass keeps Nick Wood behind him for now. But there could be any move coming from his fellow Mustang, and oh man, I said earlier how side-by-side through there isn't ideal. Oh!
It starts before that. It starts a bit before that. Check the flag's not too far away.
Oh, Adam Hughes! Adam Hughes has fallen back behind Dylan Shepard. What's happened here?
Surely this is Schumacher Barrichello stuff, right?
Yeah, maybe. We shall have to see, but it's the final few corners yet to come here. It's been a race-long fight between these two where we've never been quite clear on what exactly they're going to do. Shepard qualifying on pole, leading the early stages of the race, playing catch-up to Adam Jepson. May very well be team orders at OPR, allowing Shepard the maximum points possible here. Through the last couple of corners, a masterful drive from these two cars. They're going to come back around to put Angus Lawford a lap down as they enter and exit the final corner. Dylan Shepard winning here at the Nurburgring. Adam Hughes flying in formation across the line with him. And Dean Mackay catching up to them on the final lap and grabbing 3rd spot. Excellent job from him. Looks like Ethan Bass has done just enough to fend off Nick Wood on the run to the line for 6th.
You wonder if Dean Mackay hadn't run out of fuel at that first pit stop, if he would have been close enough that your race leaders weren't comfortable making the kind of swap that they did. It's a lost opportunity for Mackay, who since then closed those leaders in 6 seconds.
Well, here comes the battle for 20th. Kurt Normanson fending off Jamie Saxon on the way to the line. Looks like they have, I believe that's Martin Lipsky up in front of him. Looks like they have a reasonable gap there in the Revolution iRacing Audi. And that's going to be our final battle for positions sorted out. Normanson having a very tough race. Same for Jamie Saxon as well. Both of them should have been higher up the field than they are. But it is going to be ultimately 19th and 20th for them, as Adam Jepson did not return to the track after his contact with Lachlan Capel. So keep an eye out here. So Jepson versus Capel here through the final chicane, and Jepson trying to defend the position there, and maybe a bit of contact, sending him wide, and then Don't really want to say much more on that one.
Do you expect to see Jepsen in any future races of this series?
No comment. We'll have to wait and see. Well, the results are as follows on track. Dylan Shepherd and Adam Hughes, a formation finish for One Performance Racing. The TriStar Porsche of Dean Mackay finishing in third place. A strong drive from him, despite running out of fuel on the way into the pits at the first stop. Matthew Dench, recovering from 29th to 4th on track, but time penalties will put him further back than that. Ben Woods rounding out the top 5 with Ethan Bass fending off Nick Wood for 6th place. Adam Wright finishes 8th in the end. A few mistakes in that race for Adam and strategy not falling his way as well. He won't be too happy with that result, but still being able to get to the finish is more than I can say for some other drivers in this field. Trent Allen and Sam Sproul will round out the top 10.
And over in 11th, Darcy Inwood, Rick Provenzale, Russell Pepperell, Lachlan Capel. There's still some time to be added to that, so you assume it moves him to last on the lead lap behind Connor Nixon and Patrick Reardon. And then Adam Jepsen lap down. Lawford went that lap down. Trent Stapleton a lap down. Kurt Normanson 1 lap down after 2 hours of uninterrupted safety car free green flag racing.
Yeah, Jamie Saxon finished just second or so behind Normanson in the end. Ashley Cutchy a lap down as well. 2 laps down for Brad Coates, Daniel Coleman, Stuart Shaw and Martin Lipsky. Retirements from the race. Leith McClymont due to fuel. Andrew Scordelis for damage. Big shame for Andrew. He was the first driver to be taken out of this race after the unfortunate contact with Capel on the run to the green flag. And Mark Foster retiring the car early because his car alarm went off outside. And that's going to round things off for the results. Time to have a chat to a few of our drivers. The first to join us is our third place finisher, Dean Mackay. And the 413 Porsche looked very pacey here today, Dean. It wasn't entirely smooth sailing, though. That first pit stop certainly could have gone better.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it. My pace was pretty good, I felt. I was pretty similar to the guys ahead of me, but just messed up their fuel saving a bit and sort of limped to the pit stop and lost a bit of time. But I managed to get back to P3, so I'm quite happy.
As you should be. It was a stellar drive in those later stages of the race. The Porsche, of course, not the strongest car in a straight line, and I think it's a bit less of a problem here than it was at Monza, but I could still feel that the Porsche drivers were really struggling to keep that pace up down the straights. So those early stages of you lapping behind Shepherd and Hughes and picking up a tiny bit of their slipstream must have benefited you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nice to be in the slipstream. You can save more fuel, but after the first stop, I kind of just had to go flat out. And I especially think on the cold tires, I was, had a couple more tenths in the bag, I think.
Well, maybe you'll get those couple of tenths next round at Mugello in 3 weeks' time. I think that's certainly going to be a track where strategy is king. It's very hard to pass around there. A lot of fast corners, which may benefit your car.
Yeah, I know it will definitely benefit the Audi more than the Porsche, so we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess.
All right. Definitely will. But on this side of the bridge, we'll say goodbye to you, Dean. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, firstly, thanks to Brant for popping in and giving me some eyes on the race. And also major thanks to our major sponsor, Astro Energy.
Dean Mackay there from TriStar Racing. Podium here at the Nurburgring, and for now it looks to me like it's all the drivers we're going to have time for here, David. So Might as well look forward to the next round of the championship. Of course, we do go to Mugello in the mountainous Tuscany region of Italy. And yeah, like I said, it's going to be hard to pass around here anywhere that isn't turn 1.
Mugello has a chance of being pretty brutal on the tyres, depending on the weather. Hopefully, it's a beautiful, sunny Italian summer at Mugello, and that could be very, very interesting.
Yeah, certainly
Dylan Shepherd's
should.
coming. Do you want to chat to him?
Yep.
We'll hold the door open just for 1 second on this
Yep.
departing train.
Almost pulling out of the station, but Shep's managed to jump on just in time. Congratulations on the victory, mate. You versus Adam all through the race there. Looked like a couple of scheduled swaps going on between you two. We couldn't quite read what was going on out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yuzi was just on another level tonight in that Acura. Just his first round for the series, and yeah, I'm leading the championship heading into it. So yeah, he was quite happy to hand it back to me and give me the win, even though he deserved it more than anyone. His pace was just ridiculous. I think he was fuel saving. I was pushing as hard as I can, and that's where the pace was. I could only just sit with him when he was fuel saving. So yeah.
Yeah, lovely stuff, and the perfect result for 2 of the OPR cars in this field. You guys still managed to get 10th and 11th as well with Samuel and Darcy, so very consistent runs all throughout here.
Yeah, 100%. Sammy, not has too much time on the sim these days, so it's hard for him to put the time in and show the pace that he actually has. But good result for him. I think he got caught in a bit of traffic, and Darcy's still relatively new to sim racing at this level, so yeah, he's still chipping away at it, and he's already getting some pretty good results, so I couldn't be happier with him.
Well, leading the championship coming into this round, leading it coming out, Dylan. Pretty much a perfect result for you, including pole position. Is there anyone you want to thank for your performance?
Just all the boys at the team, OPR. Couldn't do it without them and their support. Simrigs, wouldn't even be on track without their support, so a massive shout out to them. And I've got a few other minor ones, Stunts, Palmerston North Bakery, Distraction, and I'm missing a very key one here. It is Stefan's Painting Business. DSM Painting Services, that'd be the last one. So thanks to all the boys that jump on and help us out, and there's massive shout out to the Rick and the team behind the series. They're running an awesome series, and obviously you guys for sticking around and showing the race.
Indeed. Thanks very much for joining us. Dylan Shepherd there, winner and pole sitter for this round of the Premier Endurance League Gamer Gear Direct Australian GT3 Open Series. Big thanks to all of you for tuning in across the course of the night's racing. Hope to see you once again in 3 weeks' time for the next round at Mugello. I'm Reese Gardner with David Haynes alongside me in the comms box, and Peter Baxter giving us his insights throughout the broadcast. Jay Kennedy behind the scenes pressing all the buttons here on SimSpeed TV. Whether you came to us through YouTube, Facebook, Twitch or Kick, we appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.